Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Scheich. I'm the editor of Farm Journal's Pork, and together with Angie Denton at Kansas State University, we help organize this with our committee every month to have a coffee and collaboration session where basically we just provide an opportunity for everybody to get together, to chat about issues and topics that we're dealing with in our profession. We try to mix it up so it varies each time. Sometimes we're targeting writers more, other times we're targeting our sales folks. Sometimes we also focus in on social media and bring in people from outside of our industry to talk about topics that maybe are somewhat new or on the edge for us as well. So we really appreciate everybody being here. Just want to make a few quick comments before we get started. There is a chat section kind of at the bottom of your screen there. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but feel free to open that. We've posed a question in there to kick things off, but we invite you guys to ask your questions as you go as well. And we'll ask those questions of our guests at the end. This will be recorded, so you're able to share this on YouTube with colleagues and friends after the fact, and we encourage you to do that because I know it's going to be full of a lot of great information. Wanted to make one quick announcement from an LPC standpoint. Hopefully you guys all saw the announcement, but our critique contest is open now, and so information went out, I believe, on about a week ago on that. And so I'll throw some information on that in the chat later as well, just so you guys have it. But we highly encourage people to participate in it. It's a great way for you to get recognition for the good work that your publications are doing, and also a way for you to get some opportunities to learn for yourself and grow as well. So wanted to point that out. Stacy, do you have any other announcements from an LPC standpoint that you'd like to share?
No, not at this time. The awards contest is the big one. I know a lot of people renew memberships around award time as well. So we will gladly take those renewals, and we'll be sending out renewal notices soon as that approaches as well. And we'd always love for y'all to help us recruit new members at any time. So we appreciate your support.
Thanks, Stacy. All right, so let's dig into the value of brand presence during challenging times. I think we've had a lot of challenges in our industry lately, but it's been exciting to see how we've been able to persevere and accomplish great things despite of it. So I'd like to turn this over to my friend, a fellow LPC All-Star. She's served our organization for many years in a variety of roles, including president of our organization. She's a great enthusiast and advocate for agricultural communications and specifically the livestock industry. So I'm pleased to turn this over to Kathy LaScala. She's the corporate sales manager at Angus Media, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about herself and introduce her panel. With that, I'll go on mute, but I appreciate you guys joining us today, and I hope you enjoy.
Well, thank you very much, Jennifer. I am excited to be moderating this panel of experts today, and I am, as you mentioned, the corporate sales manager for Angus Media. Been with that organization for about 5 years, and work with a lot of different organizations and corporate companies to help them create marketing plans to reach the audiences and progressive producers we target. But I'm also very happy to have the participation of our expert panelists today, and I'll go ahead and introduce those. Tracey Erickson is the Senior Executive Vice President of Marketing for Certified Angus Beef. And in her role, Tracey guides the team to share quality messages and the rich heritage of family ranchers with consumers worldwide. And she's going to share her expertise knowledge from more of an advertiser standpoint. And then we have Nicole Starr, who is a national accounts manager for Farm Journal's livestock division. Nicole is responsible for sales across Farm Journal's industry-leading content brands in the company's beef, dairy, pork, and influencer portfolios. And finally, Sal Gomez is a national accounts manager for Progressive Publishing. For over 26 years, Sal has been involved in print and digital advertising sales, and he has experience in both inside and outside sales and has managed several highly esteemed clients. So I really appreciate them being here today to share their knowledge and expertise. And we all have worked together in some capacity, whether even being with different companies, we just have always had that relationship and really understand and value each other's opinions and knowledge. So to kind of lay the foundation for our discussion today, just wanted to share some comments that Jennifer kind of talked a bit about already. As we look at today's ever-changing landscape of communication, it becomes even more challenging for some companies to identify the best media to invest in, right? So, and farmers and ranchers' consumption of information varies on need, but we all know the goal is to provide information to them when, where, and how they want to receive it. So from there, how do we as salespeople help clients identify the most efficient and effective way to promote their brands and products across multiple platforms and access points? And then what do advertisers expect in return from an accountability standpoint? What can we as salespeople do to become a partner of choice in the eyes of an advertiser? And what do successful advertising companies do to maintain a position of brand preference in the marketplace? Simon Sinek is an author and leadership guru, and he says in his book, Start With Why, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I think our expert panel today will share with us why and how they do what they do and what has helped make them successful. So let's go ahead and dive in with some questions that are posed to the panel, and then you can certainly answer in whatever order you wish from whoever wants to answer first, I guess. So the last few years have obviously presented several stumbling blocks to us in our industry. Where do you see the greatest opportunity for advertisers and their brands to stay competitive and relevant in an ever-changing marketplace? Who would like to go first?
I can go first here. Thank you for the introduction. I'm happy to be here. I think the greatest stumbling block that we're running into when I talk with advertisers is there are so many media channels available to advertisers, and it can be overwhelming when you're putting together a media plan as to what channels to use. You want your brand to be everywhere. You want your brand to be top of mind, which is great. But what I guess I like to do when I'm working with clients is take a step back, have a conversation with them about their target audience and what their goals and objectives are. And then from there, put together a plan with the most relevant media channels based on who they want to target and their goals. Throughout the duration of their campaign, monitoring those metrics and sharing ways to optimize their campaign, whether that be maybe it's adjusting their call to action, or it's increasing impressions, or maybe it's adjusting and switching to a different tactic, a different media channel. So always be present and help them along the way throughout that duration of the campaign.
Sal?
Yeah, I'll echo what Nicole said. My objective, what I think about is finding out what the customer needs first before I propose anything. I don't believe in prescription before diagnosis. So I'll start with that, finding out exactly what they need, what they want to, their objective, what they want to accomplish. And then from there, brainstorm with them on ways that we can reach their target audience, and then propose and brainstorm with them again, see if that's going to work with them, if it's within their budget, and just keep track of how things are going for them, especially with digital media. check, halfway through the month, see what kind of metrics they're getting. But pretty much the same thing as Nicole said, stay with them and work with them the whole process.
Are you both finding that there's more of a need to educate your clients, current and potential clients, relative to the industries, how producers are consuming information? They may look at price versus quality. Do you see a greater need for educating your clients relative to what the industry is looking like? Because we're all time challenged. Do you spend a lot of time being more of a resource to them from an industry knowledge perspective, or how does that work into the plan that you design for them?
Nicole, you want?
Sure. I think anytime you can be a resource to the client, sharing out, like you said, Kathy, those media consumption reports or industry insights that relate to that client's business, to make sure that they're aware of updates that as it relates to their business. I like to look at myself as an extension to the client's team.
I'll jump in just a little bit, and thanks for the opportunity to be here. It's great to visit with all of you today. We kind of play an intermediary role. So certainly while we're the advertiser, we're also counseling and providing resources to all of our partners, right? Whether those are retailers, distributors, restaurateurs, domestically and globally. So it's an interesting balance, because we are in some instances acting in that advisory role, and then sometimes we're the customer ourselves. So I would say that the biggest thing that I see in these times for us collectively is stay in the game. All right. And that's something that we tell all of our partners, whether we're placing the advertising or we're providing resources for them to place the advertising, is don't give up, because we tend to make decisions for the customer versus giving them the opportunity to still trade up. And by the customer, in our case, I mean that end consumer, right, who's potentially going to purchase certified Angus beef at a grocery or restaurant location versus a competitor product. So it's stay in the game, keep the message out there consistently. Like in so many industries, of course, on the production sector, it's no different on the end user side. The first thing to go, right, when you're busy, let's say you're a restaurant chef and you're worried about menus and getting product in the back door, the first thing to go is your advertising and marketing efforts. And so really trying to make sure that we support that approach and that message, that you've got to keep the word out there and that drumbeat going.
And you're exactly right, Tracey. And you bring up a very good point in terms of staying in the game and keeping messaging out there. And that was one of the areas that we talked about as a team, because more than ever, supply and manufacturing issues have been a challenge for a lot of companies. And because of this, there are companies that have significantly pulled back on advertising or cut it completely. And so what recommendations, what conversations can we have with those clients that allows them to see the bigger picture and the importance of maintaining a position of brand awareness in preparation for market turnaround? Because we've all seen this situation multiple times. And I guess the challenging part a lot of times for me is that, and I know all of you are the same way, we really care about our clients and we understand the challenges they have, but we also understand the ramifications that can occur when they do just all of a suddenly just cancel all their advertising in times of turmoil and challenging. But what kind of recommendations do you help with them to see the bigger picture and maintain that position? Do you kind of just look at ways to scale back a little bit just to keep that visibility, or what are some of your thoughts there?
Who do you want to go first? I'll go first, I guess. This is a common thing that we are hearing in the marketplace, and it's something we've all had to deal with in some way, shape, or form. What I have seen clients do and have had success with is they're shifting from that selling approach to more of a thought leadership approach. So they're providing education. They're showcasing their tech service team as a resource. Another thing to consider would be showing goodwill in your local community. Having that human voice and empathy really shows that we're here for you, we're in this with you, and it shows value to the customer then, and will create demand when those supply issues turn around. So those are just a few of my thoughts and things to consider when having those supply conversations.
I think that's an excellent suggestion, Nicole, and really, being that advisor to your customer and to clients is essential, right? Because what I don't want to have happen as we meet with our partners is for that expectation to be that our approach is going to be the same. It has to be revised, and I think that's where you gain so much credibility of, here's how you can stay in it and still have a presence. And maybe it's changing, cadence. It's just some consultative advice on how to do that and stay relevant. I'll tell you, from our standpoint, a great example was the Japan market closed for a number of years after Mad Cow, unfortunately, right? Way back when, the cow that stole Christmas. And it took 11 years for that market to reopen to US beef. It's not an exact comparison because it was basically keeping a presence in market for that whole time through an office and through continued presence there. And there are times, I think, hopefully we don't have that duration of issue here in the near future that folks question. And so just being that reassuring voice that you don't have to be in at the levels you were, pre this situation, but you got to stay in the game, because otherwise when those inventory levels or whatever the dynamic is that reopens the door, you're just not top of mind. So at least keep that presence there. And I love the thought leadership aspect. That's a really good approach.
CAB has done an excellent job in terms of providing education. Tracey, do you have anything, just specific areas that you want to build on that you've done?
Sorry, relative to education in general, or?
Yes, just education in general.
Yeah, so that's a huge part of our brand experience, right? We have a whole team dedicated to education and experience. I'm recognizing that when we can immerse folks, whatever segment of the industry they're in, it means a whole lot more to them to just take the brand with them. We just had a gentleman in actually here yesterday, Jeff Morrow, who's a Food Network personality out of Chicago, and being able to show them firsthand, right, the farm experience and some of those hands-on opportunities is critical. And then we just try to be a consultant. We often talk about how we truly have built a global consumer brand on a not-for-profit budget, and we're super proud of that. But it's because of being able to educate people that our customers feel like Certified Angus beef is not only a brand that they can count on, it's so much more than that. It's people who have their back, right, who are going to help them with their business. And that's where I say we kind of sit in the middle, because for me as a customer, then as we work with publications, primarily on the food service trade side, right, I really want that same approach. If we were to need to scale back, I'd hope that a Plate magazine is going to say, all right, here's how we can keep you in front of this chef audience, but also recognize the fact that you've got some budget challenges. So yeah, definitely trying to be a consultant and an education, a partner in education and all of that.
So Tracey, when you look at CAB from a non-for-profit budget standpoint, going from an educator to your providers as well as consumers, look at it from an advertiser's perspective in your mind. And when you develop your media plans, what are some of the key factors that play a role in your decision-making process? Because we know that we talked earlier about what matters to different clients in terms of target audience, return on investment, all of those things. But what are some of the areas that you lean on or towards to help in your decision-making process when you're identifying what advertising platforms to invest in? Is it engagement, performance indicators? What are some of those areas that are of interest to you and relevant?
A really good question, and the answer is kind of fun. So absolutely, we're going to look at all the KPIs. We're going to look at number of impressions and engagement, and are we hitting the right audience? What metrics or what mechanisms allow us to speak to those who have the lifestyle components that we're looking for. The number one metric that is really hard to measure, but once you know you've hit it, it's there, is does it work for our partners? So we can have all of the metrics that would cause one particular medium or initiative to be off the charts in traditional KPIs. And let's say it's a digital campaign and the customer at a given retail store is a middle-aged male, right, that runs the meat department. He never saw any of those. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have a lot of guys on social media, but what I am saying is that we've got to be really aware of making sure that not only do we hit the consumer, but we hit the customer, the customer that is purchasing and putting the product in the meat case. So sometimes you'll see us do outdoor, particularly outdoor near the corporate offices of one of our partners, because that's where folks see it. On the flip side, we recognize that in some markets, 100% digital campaign absolutely meets the mark. And we can do all these other things. Great example, last year we did some broadcast placement around NFL games in about 12 markets throughout the country. And one of those was in the Winn-Dixie market, so in Florida. So in Boston, we had our meat contacts literally calling us saying, oh my goodness, you guys, I saw Sunday night's game. I saw the brand and they were just over the moon. It was Thanksgiving Day parade placement. Just fantastic. The Florida folks never saw it. And so again, it's just trying to be really relevant. So making sure that we've got all of those traditional mechanisms for evaluating, but also there's some intangibles in that whole process for us as well.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely understand that. And I imagine that when you're looking at creating all of your media plans, that there's more than just your team involved in that. So perhaps there's collaboration between sales and marketing. For all of you, what value does communication and collaboration between your sales and marketing teams bring to the table in terms of sales tools, research opportunities? How important are those boots on the ground to the processes that we go through? Because all of us know the importance of collaborating with those in different departments that we work in. So whether it's the editors or the people outside that are going to different events or whatever, freelancers, how important is that communication and collaboration between sales and marketing in terms of creating sale tools, creating educational products to help current and potential customers as well as producers better understand what's available and where the value falls? What's been your experience there, Sal?
My experience has been that the people in the trenches, the sales reps, is most important stepping stone. I can't talk to a marketing manager, or I can't recommend or suggest anything unless I know exactly what they need and let them know what their sales reps need. But the sales rep is very important for me. That's where I get all my information, because they're the ones that need the tools. And then I can go up to marketing and share those needs with them. And then from there, we can start working on a media plan. Okay. And then back to your other question in regards to educating. I keep it kind of simple. In addition to educating my clients or prospects on the industry with statistics or articles, I also try to work with them and remind them the importance of staying present in the market. I don't recommend for them to completely disappear. I said, I can recommend to cut back, and I try to do my best to get them the most bang for their dollar. Okay. But yeah, so I'll answer some questions there. But yeah, the stepping stone. And then another thing that I do a lot too is I talk to producers. Because when I talk to producers, I ask them what they need, what they're looking for. If I see a product at the dairy or the beef facility or a feedlot, I ask them, what do you use instead of that? I mean, I just ask them questions. I brainstorm with them to find out. I take that information and take it to the sales reps or the marketing people. And that's how I try to.
Thank you. Nicole or Tracey?
I think there's always opportunity to break down those internal silos between sales and marketing. Some questions as marketers that we can ask the sales reps. What support do you need in selling a product or making your brand, the product, top of mind? Probing them on the challenges that they're hearing from their customers in the marketplace. You could also probe on what media channels do their customers recall seeing your advertising, so that you can focus on those media channels more. But there is, the sales and marketing, they go hand in hand, and they really create synergy for a brand, I think.
That's absolutely true.
I would agree completely. We have, again, our role is a little different in how we work with partners. And so we tend to start with I'll call it the sales team at an established partner that's merchandising certified Angus beef. And then back into working with marketing, because we've got to make sure that the meat folks are at the table, literally. And what I find oftentimes, unfortunately, there are a few that work really collaboratively. More often than not, especially the bigger organizations, they really don't have a good level of interaction. And so we find ourselves being a conduit, right? Because this is a resource, an asset that you want to be able to market. And so just drawing both partners together, in fact, to the standpoint that initially we might meet separately with both, and then we say, hey, can we meet together? And truly, at times, they are being introduced to each other in our meeting, because we've said we really want to have everyone at the table. So I think, yeah, as both Nicole and Sal said very well, when you can have that combination, it's so much more powerful, but it doesn't always exist naturally.
Well, as we know, especially in the livestock industries that we serve, relationships are so important. More times than not, people buy from people, and the three of you obviously have years and years of experience and have invested a lot of time and energy to build relationships. And so we know a successful media partner-client relationship is a two-way street. And we talked about the importance of having sales and marketing collaborate, but what else are you seeing as the ingredients for a successful long-term relationship, and how much of a impact does relationship building have on the long-term visibility of your businesses or your clients' businesses? How much does that really play into the sales and marketing process? Because obviously a lot of us are friends with our clients, but there's always that requirement of accountability that has to come into play, and a respect for business is business, and we're here to help you, and this is where we are. So What are your thoughts in there? How important is relationship building on the long-term viability of your business, and how do you show loyalty for long-standing clients?
I can jump in. I would say from our standpoint, relationship is everything. Folks want to work with people that they respect, but certainly that they like. And I think that it's just critically important, again, as a provider to our customers. As a customer, we've been with the same agency for 21 years, and that's kind of unheard of, right, in our industry. And I would say that the reason it has worked is that we have a super transparent relationship. In fact, I'm headed to visit with them next week to talk about some concerns, and vice versa, right? It's just as important that the client ask for feedback on how they can be a better client. And so I know that doesn't always happen, but that's so important to have that two-way communication. The other is knowing that they have our back, right? So I think it was Sal that mentioned, advising a level that a customer can stay in the game, but also conserve resources. Like, I truly want our providers to say, hey, you guys can do this yourself. Here's where we can be additive, and here's where it makes sense to spend money with us. We know your business, and you don't need us for this, right? That's the kind of relationship that we're seeking, to know that it's not someone who's gonna, just sell services, right? They're gonna be a partner. And when you have that level of trust, then you want to go to them for everything possible.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
To build on what Tracey said, well, yes, I'm in the business of selling research and media. This is a people business, and that's what I really enjoy most about this job. But you're right, it's a two-way street. So it is the sales, the media rep sharing out the latest information, maybe it's products and services. Media continues to evolve as digital and technology advance. On the advertisers or the client side, it's sharing out their long-term and short-term marketing goals and objectives and what their plans are. I think that this really allows then, when we're at the table discussing their media planning, it allows us to go deeper into their business and put together a more strategic plan that aligns with that client's vision.
Phil, anything to add?
Sure. I do what I do because I enjoy working with people in the ag industry. I could sell advertising anywhere, or I could go into other sales, but the people that I work with, whether they advertise with us or not, I just enjoy having relationships with them. One of the things that I emphasize to them, whether they advertise with me or not, I make sure that I let them know that I'm going to be there to help them, whether they advertise with me or not, and I like to continue our working relationship. I stop and visit if they're not advertising, and if I think of other ways that I can help them, give them some exposure, I let them know. I share information in regards to the industry, or talk what I learned from talking to producers, talking to their salespeople. But I talk a lot about family. I talk a lot about family because I like to know about them. As a matter of fact, I usually request a family picture be sent to me because I just like that relationship. Whether they advertise with me or not, I like to continue that working, that relationship with them.
And that's a really good point, Sal, because I will never forget. I had a client one time that canceled a huge campaign because it was just, they were having a bad year. They just canceled. And so I still went to their office, and he could not understand. He actually said to me, I'm surprised you're even speaking to me after I canceled this schedule. And I said, why wouldn't I? I mean, I'm still going to continue that relationship. And hopefully when you are able to come back into the market, you'll appreciate that and come back to me. And he did. So you're exactly right. And I think some people just aren't used to that kindness and that caring and that genuine interest in who they are and what they do. But one more question, if we can, since this webinar is about the value of brand presence during challenging times, when we look at branding and a brand being the most important asset a company has, how have you seen marketing strategies evolve to maintain a position of brand preference, especially Tracey, I might call you out a bit. When you look at certified Angus beef as the strongest beef brand, you still there's still other brands out there. So you're still in need of maintaining a strategy and plan, but how has that evolved to maintain your position in a sea of branded beef products?
It's a really good question. I think more than ever, what we're very cognizant of is making sure that we're tied to our partners. So if we were to do a big campaign, which we did last year, that was much more of a PR-based approach, called Certified Angus Beef Takes You There, which was a whole lot of fun, meant to just put the brand out there. When we look at then strategy in terms of getting that more granularly dispersed, it has to be tied to a partner, because otherwise a consumer sees it and they think the category, right, of Angus versus certified Angus beef. And so part of our approach is making sure that we're staying active in the market, but then we're always saying available at Meijer, available at Giant Eagle, available at, this particular restaurant. So it is definitely making sure that connection is there. I also want to go back to kind of where we started. I shared with the group as we were prepping for this call, back in the recessionary years, so to speak, the prior group of them. We did some research because it was really fascinating. We had partners that were up 20% during that time period, and partners, all other variables, factored out, that were down 20%. And so looking at the difference there, the difference was those who stayed active in advertising and didn't make the decision for the customer, knowing that we might be changing our spending patterns and not going on maybe a vacation or putting out some of those major expenses, but we were still willing as customers to spend a few dollars more for a better eating experience. And so that staying present message really, really resonates. And what we found is that brands that were maybe a premium brand, but a few dollars more, definitely could have that staying power if they stayed in it, right? Because customers wanted something that could be an affordable, pleasurable experience. So all of that to say, you got to stay in it. And in our case, you've got to stay connected to where I can actually go buy the product.
Jennifer, are we running out of time?
You're at 10:40.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's good. I haven't seen any questions pop up. So, I mean, feel free to keep rolling, but if anybody has a question, here's a nice break, just to remind you to go ahead and throw that in the chat.
Well, Sarah and Nicole, then from your standpoint in looking at and working with clients to encourage them to stay the course or to take their brand development to the next level, can you provide any examples or experiences where a client's marketing strategy has evolved to either maintain their brand preference or to whether to maintain their brand preference in the current state or to elevate it to the next level? Can you share any thoughts relative to that?
I can build off of what Tracey was talking about. It's just spurred a thought that just the importance of media partners that have offer strong data or a strong audience, so that you are able to be very targeted in who you're reaching. One thing at Farm Journal we use is programmatic. So we, using digital advertising, we're able to leverage our first party data to reach that audience wherever they are online. And that really helps with the messaging resonating, the brand being top of mind. In addition to always leveraging and keeping in mind those broad awareness tactics as well, such as print or digital ads on a media partner's website or e-newsletters, all of those products really work together and play a role in a client's overarching media plan.
Sal, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, my my experience has been with several clients now that they're using diversity of media sources. I have clients that used to print, they used to use print only for many years. And this year I've had a lot of requests from those folks about advertising with digital media or direct mail or podcasts or other sources. So they want to target, a wider, they want to have a wider presence, not just with print. But that's what I've been experiencing lately, that they're making adjustments like that. They're not just sticking to print, and now they're going to digital media and other sources.
And we're seeing so many advertisers. I have an echo all of a sudden. Is my audio okay? Okay. Using QR codes on their print ads. So that is a way to bridge that gap between print and digital.
Well, I really appreciate, I know we have a question, and I really appreciate the knowledge and expertise that you have all shared, because ultimately all of our goals is to help our current and potential customers improve, grow, and thrive in an ever-changing marketplace. So I really appreciate the insights that you've all been able to share. And I think we need to turn it over to Jennifer for a question.
Yep, sure. Yep, we have a question from Casey on how do you or your clients balance ever emerging platforms, print, digital, audio, podcasts, etc.?
I think for us, it's making sure that we're not the first to jump on anything new. And we proudly say we like to be not at the head of the curve, kind of just a little bit behind, just because so many things come and go very, very quickly. I'd say once a platform is firmly established, then it is back to what I said of where is it in importance in an overall plan. And so every plan, we do about 20 different customized plans with our partners, is meant to maximize resources in a particular geographical area and then look at what makes sense to layer in. And so all of those options are on the table. Whether it's streaming audio in a particular market, outdoor, metro traffic, television. And so just trying to extend our resources as far as we can and put together a plan that is going to be the best given that mix in market.
And don't feel obligated to go with a certain media channel just because that's the new shiny object. It really has to work for your brand, and it has to reach your target audience and be in line with your messaging.
Val, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I personally don't, especially if we come up with a new product, I don't like to recommend it to anybody until it's tested. I don't believe in having our clients pay for our test. And I debate that quite a bit with our publishers, but as Nicole said, I just ask them, don't jump in there right away. Let's see what happens. Even when we come up with a new product or a new platform, I recommend, let's wait and see how this works. Let's don't go there yet. And once I see how it works, then I go back to them and recommend it. Or share with them where we're at. But just looking after them, taking care of them.
Thank you. And thank you once again to all our panelists and to those who have signed on to listen to the webinar. I hope the information shared was valuable to you, and certainly believe that any of our panelists will be available for any additional questions if you should have any after the fact. But I think we're out of time now, aren't we, Jennifer?
We do like to wrap it up now, and I really appreciate you taking the time too, Kathy, because I know that You put a lot into organizing this group, and I appreciate your insight and perspective that you represent from our industry as well. Again, just please don't forget to go check out our awards contest information. We're going to be back again on April 19th. We're going to be talking about sparking creativity. Obviously, a lot of us do the same kinds of things every day. And so how do we keep it fresh? How do we stay innovative and unique in our perspectives? And we're going to hear from some people on that topic. So hope you'll join us then. And thank you guys for joining us today, and have a great week.